Hello, my name is Julia Kai, and this channel is called Silence is Freedom. And in essence, it is about experiencing the truth of who we are, the silence within us, our expression, our truth, and being able to clear away anything that is blocking us from expressing ourselves in the world, because there's only one you. And if we're not you, we're not fully expressing ourselves, the world is missing out. But unfortunately, many people are caught in psychological patterns that limit them and block the enjoyment of experiencing themselves in this life. This video is a continuation of investigating this syndrome, this psychological pattern called imposter syndrome. And I do quite a lot of group and workshop and presentation talk kind of events. And it is increasingly evident that this feeling of not good enough affects so many people right across the board. It hasn't got any particular genre of person that it affects more than others. In my work in people's lives, that's been the biggest thing, that people somehow don't feel good enough and feel there's some place they need to get to and then it's all going to be okay, and feel that they are somehow going to be found out, that they're a fraud, that they're only where they are just by luck. And this is an incredibly prevalent pattern, but it is a pattern. It's a psychological pattern. The thing to remember is that our natural state is ease, is joy, is love, and that is more evident when you see children, because they're expressing themselves, they're free, they haven't got a self-concept of not being good enough. So that demonstrates that the natural state, unnatural state, is ease, joy, bliss, love, and that the anything else is learned behaviour. Anything else is a psychological pattern that would have come from our conditioning. And there's a great quote in the Bible. I might have to read it to make sure I get it right. But it's about the fact that where there's love, there can't be fear. And fear is the pattern. Fear is learned behaviour. Fear is what happens when we're small and we're born into a family, into a social setting, a culture that already has beliefs and ideals and values and all of the things that make it it. And then to survive as little children, we try to adapt to make sure that we feel safe, and that can take away the natural place of experiencing ourselves as love and knowing that being ourselves is all that is important. And therefore fear is the learned behaviour. And the biblical quote is, "There is no fear in love, but for perfect love casteth out fear." And that, in my view, says it all. That any psychological patterns that we have that are against us feeling okay about ourselves are a myth, and they get built up by our childhood wounding, when we internalise somehow that we're not good enough. And that's in essence it, we're not lovable, that we haven't had our needs met. And then these patterns start to loop round and become who we think we are. So they get caught in lots of neural pathways and psychological dramas, where we'll have an emotional response to something that immediately has a narrative associated with it. And this loop gets so stuck that then things like this imposter syndrome become the way someone's propelled themselves through life, because they don't feel good enough, but they know there's always somewhere they've got to get to. So they get to the next thing, the next lot of exams, the degree, the job, the promotion, but never ever ever find that ease. However much there is an achievement, there's always a feeling that there should be something else, and that is a very painful way to live. So to unravel that, it is at first knowing that who you truly are is all that is important. And that doesn't mean we wouldn't stretch for goals and dreams and enjoy them, but more in a playful way, more in a way of enjoying the journey. As we know, enjoying the journey and getting into the process of things is much more fun. I heard somebody say that, we're not going to, it was Alan Watts, that's it, the philosopher. He said that we don't listen to a whole concert waiting for the last note to enjoy it. And yet that's what can happen with people when they're, going for a goal, whatever field of life that's in. They get so caught up in trying to get to the destination, they forget that the concert along the way is so important. And also that there's somewhere to get to, that then we're going to feel okay. And ultimately, it's important to keep in every moment coming back to presence. And coming back to presence allows us to, in every moment, heal the past and create a different future. But that takes an awareness that the thinking there's somewhere to get to, or the thinking you're not good enough, is a myth. There's also Marianne Williamson, the person who wrote A Return to Love. The essence of her book is essentially about the same as the quote that, I'll read it again: "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear." The essence of her book is that love's the natural state, and that fear is the aberration and not the truth, and it's the learned behaviour. And her quote, she did a lovely quote, but I'll just do the bit at the bottom where she said, "We are all meant to shine, as children do. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others." And that is essentially it. If you know that being you is all that is required, and that every single narrative otherwise is not the truth, then you can start to unravel backwards into the space of your truth, the truth of who you are, which is pure love.